Hatred is an emotion that deceives us into thinking that perception is reality. In resembling the one that I hated, I deceived myself that I was the one I hated. Here is a bit of my story in overcoming that lie. I hated my dad. He was a big man with hands like baseball mitts, and he was abusive. There are two events that stick out to me. My mom would just say, "Wait till your dad gets home." And when he got home, he got an earful. He dragged my younger brother, who was 12 at the time, downstairs to the dirt cellar and started beating him with a broomstick. After a few moments, the stick broke, and he realized what he was doing, came running up and dashed out of the house. We didn't see him for another few hours. The other time was when my brother and I were asleep and we heard screaming. Came into the living room, and there Dad was sitting on top of Mom, slapping her. I froze. My brother, though, jumped into action and pushed him off. At that point, again, he realized that he'd lost his temper, dashed out the door, and we didn't see him for another 3 or 4 hours. I hated that man. Then one day, I was taking a bath in one of those clawfoot tubs, and there, staring at me, was a picture of him. Actually, it was a picture of me. I was looking in a small shaving mirror, but I looked exactly like him at my age. I had become my dad. A few years later, I was engaged with a high school student group, and one of the students, Bob, had just got his driver's license. Now, Bob did not have a dad, so I decided it'd be good of me to take him out and familiarize him with driving in ice and snow. We went to a school parking lot that had just been plowed and didn't have any other cars in it, and I gave Bob the wheel of my 5-year-old SUV. Well, he spun and he skidded, and he recovered from fishtailing. After about 15-20 minutes, I figured he kind of got it down and was familiar with driving in snow. So I says, "Bob, why don't you just pull over there and I'll drive you home?" I don't know what happened. I don't know what he did. But the next thing I know was this light pole was sliding directly towards me. We hit. I looked over at Bob, said, "Are you okay?" Yeah, he was okay. I kicked open the door. I looked up at Bob, said, "Bob, I love you, and I'm driving." My dad, he would have probably started cussing Bob out, may have just stomped around the truck, yanked open the driver's door, and pulled Bob from behind the wheel. But I was not my dad. That was a milestone for me. What I was learning was that there's characteristics about me that I had inherited from my dad. Many of them were despicable. Many others were neutral, and some were even good. My reaction to Bob in wrecking my truck showed me that I had stopped perpetuating the anger and abuse that I had inherited from my father. My friend, this is all to say that although we inherit many characteristics from our parents, they are not all despicable. Some are neutral, others are even good. The challenge is to separate out the despicable from the good and the neutral, and then work to replace the despicable traits with ones that are good.